every time a creator reaches out to me for help, it's okay. How are you packaging your videos? Because that'll
Yep.
tell me everything that you need to know.
Yeah.
It's so weird. Your videos don't have to be the best videos ever. They don't. You don't have to worry about the editing. I would say worry about audio more than anything. But if you're not hooking people with a thumbnail and a good title and an intriguing title, you're losing,
Yep.
right? It's the click through rate, and then once you can get them there, then what are you doing wrong?
Yep.
It's the hook. It's the intro, the first 2 or 3 minutes. Get them in and get them intrigued and wanting to watch the rest, and you're good to go.
Yeah.
Hey, she's a beauty.
Welcome to Tarkov, a podcast for content creators to come share their stories, journeys, and experiences. And today I'm super excited. I have a fellow Canadian, Bigfry. Welcome.
What's going on, man?
So glad you're here. Thank you for doing this, by the way.
Yeah, no problem, dude.
All right. So we get things started with sort of 3 random questions. So are you ready?
I mean, I guess so. We're in it now, so
All
let's
right.
do it.
So as a little kid, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Ooh, God. Well, okay. So at one point, I know I wanted to be a wrestler because I was super into Attitude Era WWF.
Okay.
So yeah, I would say it went from that, and then I wanted to eventually I wanted to be a game developer, and then that kind of led me into a more realistic outlook at the time, electrician, kind of following my
Okay.
dad's
Oh,
footsteps.
cool.
So
All
yeah, it's
right.
changed a few times over the years.
Well, doesn't it all for all, all of us as a
Yeah.
kid,
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. So
Yeah.
last meal of the day, do you call it supper or dinner?
I call that supper. Dinner
Yes.
is it's dinner and lunch is interchangeable for us.
Yep. Same here.
Yeah.
Down here in the States, it's dinner. I say supper and they look at me funny. I was like, all
Crazy.
right.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, y'all are nuts.
Yeah, absolutely. And now the other thing. So in your neck of the woods, somebody comes into your house. Are they leaving their shoes on or are they taking them off?
Off.
Yep.
Honestly, what were we watching? We were watching a show on Netflix, and they had they were on the bed with their shoes on.
Yeah.
And I had to pause it. I pointed to my girlfriend. I'm like, "What is this? Like, it's weird to me. People
Yep.
walking around with shoes. It's so strange."
When we moved here to the States in Connecticut, we had some, it was like fall. We had some people come over to our apartment and about 5 people came in. They all left their shoes on.
No.
And when they left, my wife was like, they didn't take their shoes off. But yeah, it's a crazy thing.
No, man, I kind of find it disrespectful.
Yeah.
Like if you're coming in, especially like where we're at, man, the roads are always like dirty, it's dusty, like you're just dragging that stuff all over the place.
Yeah.
Like, but then again, like I guess some people's socks are probably worse off, so who
Probably.
knows? Yeah.
All right. So the last question is, what was the last TV show or movie you saw?
Okay. Last TV show. We're starting to watch Encounters on Netflix, which is like
Okay.
a UFO kind of, documentary about some sightings that happened out in the States. Movie, man, it has been a while. I don't really watch too many movies
Yep.
anymore, honestly. There's so many now, and all they talk about is Marvel, and
Yeah.
I'm so far behind the times with it. Yeah. I couldn't even tell you.
No worries. All right. So you've been watching your content for a while, but I gotta, the one that sticks out in my head, I caught you in the era when you were doing the Earth 2, that craziness.
Yeah.
What were
that's-
those people thinking?
I think a lot of it comes down to everybody wants to get rich. Everybody, especially, I mean, it's gotten worse since then in the world, but I think everybody's just looking to invest in things that they think they know about, gaming space, tech and stuff, and they
Yeah.
see it as an easy way to, they got caught up in the dream
Yeah.
of, hey, I can play a game and also I can make money. I don't think either of those things are going to come true personally, but That's just me.
Yeah, that was a while. And I just love the fact, you just tell it how it is. You don't sugarcoat it. You don't candy coat it. It is what it is. And that's, that's fantastic.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, it is what it is, but like I also I don't know, watching that whole thing play out, I also understand like people have different perspectives.
Yeah.
Some of those guys are diehard. They believe that they know what they're putting their money in and what it's going to be, and
Yeah.
it's like, I mean, fair enough, but like I just hope you don't lose your ass on it. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Can we curse on the show?
Dude, it's your podcast. Whatever you want to
Great.
talk about, that's it. What you drop an F-bomb, it's good.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, no, so everyone has a different perspective, but yeah, I kind of call it as I see it, and
Yeah.
that's kind of how I got to where I'm at. So,
Excellent. All right. So where does the name come from? Let's start there.
oh God, okay, yeah, I get that question all the time. I got my PS3 in 2007, and at the time, I was playing a lot of SOCOM on the PS2, but you needed to sign in with a PlayStation Network ID. It's the first time they brought it out, and I had all my friends over. We just finished grabbing lunch. We were still eating, and literally, we grabbed McDonald's. We're setting up the account, and we just didn't know what we want to call it. That's your name. What is it going to be? And I remember I pulled a fry out of the container. I was like, "That's a big fry. Fuck it, put that in. Who cares?" And ever since, there we are.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
Yep. So it has nothing to do with Prince Edward Island or anything like that.
No, nothing, nothing at all.
Oh, all right. So before you started creating your content on YouTube, what's your background? What were you doing?
So I graduated in 2010, and I instantly jumped into the electrical field. So I was going for my trade in, I think I must have started this while I was in my second year of schooling. Came back from schooling just past second year, felt good, and all my friends were we were partying, we were screwing around, we were being idiots, and I got my second year of schooling done, and I just came back and was like, I just don't really want to spend all of my time and my money,
Yeah.
going to bars and doing all that. But I was watching Total Biscuit a lot at the time, and he did this thing called Mailbox Mondays, where people would send him messages, he would respond to them and make content and just like talk to his community.
Oh, wow.
I was like, man, that is so cool. I think I could do that. So I started looking into like Adobe Premiere and Photoshop, and man, it took me down a rabbit hole. Like I just kind of started it from there. But I eventually got my ticket, my journeyman's ticket, my red seal, and that was in 2014. And I was working on low voltage kind of motor control panels and stuff like that, PLCs, and eventually it just kind of got to a point where I felt the urge to maybe I could try to do this full time, and that was in 2019, and it's just kind of skyrocketed from there.
Fantastic. All right, well let's hop back to video games. So PlayStation 3. What were video games? Were there anything before that, or PlayStation when you first jumped into it?
No, man, I've been playing games since the Super Nintendo.
Nice.
The big one for me was SOCOM II.
Yeah.
That came out in 2003, and I played that game religiously every day after school, 7 hours a day.
Yeah.
Just for years. And that's kind of where my channel started to take off, as I was talking about those old times, and there were other games coming out at the time that were trying to kind of recapture the magic, and I started seeing some problems with that project and called it out, and that's kind of where everything kind of started for me covering games. But SOCOM 2 was like SOCOM 2 and World of Warcraft were like, if you want to talk about hours put away, those two just insane.
Nice.
Yeah.
And now, what was your main reason to start creating content on YouTube? Was it just following Biscuit's concept? It was like, hey,
I for me it was, how do people go about uploading and editing content? And I was just more fascinated with the process.
Yeah.
And then I started watching tutorials, and okay, well, wait, I can make things move on the screen, and I can, you can throw text. Oh, there's transitions. And I just, like I said, I fell in love with the process of it, and just being able to, like, I remember the first intro I ever made. It was terrible, but like, it was the coolest thing in the world. Like, I made this awesome. And I was always in love with the idea of eventually growing an audience that you can just talk about games with.
Yeah.
I thought that was just so cool.
Oh, very
Yeah.
cool. And now,
Yeah.
were you doing Twitch at the same time, or was it just strictly just focused on YouTube?
I think I started streaming on Twitch at the tail end of 2015, 2016,
Yeah.
with a lot of H1Z1.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of as it kind of introduced into the battle royale phase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. And then from a YouTube standpoint, over the years, what did you just see a gradual increase in views, or were there some moments that really, exploded for you that, you hit the algorithm at the right time and, it just went boom.
For for quite a few years, it was kind of just like, you would see 100 views here, 20 views here, and it was just kind of, I was just doing my own thing. And then
Yeah.
eventually I covered a game that was Shattered Skies, it was called. And the developers actually DMCA'd my video
Oh,
because they didn't like what I said about it. And I was at the time I had like 600 subs,
yeah.
right? I was a nobody, but the video hit an algorithm wave and they didn't like it. I remember they left comments under that video, like making fun of my sub count and stuff. Like they just
The
went in. Well,
developers did.
the developers did,
Wow.
yeah. And do you remember the War Z?
Yes.
Same developers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Sergey Titov. He's like a classic like villain on my channel. But I made a video talking about the DMCA, like they striked it, it's false, and that video blew up. Total Biscuit
Yeah.
ended up talking about it.
Oh,
He
shoot.
posted it on Twitter, and so that one is when I went from 600 subs to over 6,000 like overnight,
Oh, wow.
just from that. And then it was just like, whoa, okay, this is kind of cool. And then started just talking more about it and branching off into other games, and it just went from there.
Oh, wow.
And then I think in 2016, I had my first, like, I would say viral video
Yeah.
with Ghost Recon Wildlands.
Oh,
That
okay.
video did, it was like 50,000 views, which I was like, okay, that's dope. And then it started like, it would get 50,000 views like a day.
Holy
And
crap.
it eventually crossed over 1 million. And it was just, okay. And I went from 9,000 subs at the time to like 40,000.
Wow.
It was, and so, yeah, just a couple of very consistent years. And then the events that like kind of drive the snowball up. And
Yeah.
that's kind of how it always goes.
That's
So,
fantastic. And now,
yeah, man.
when did you get to the point where, sort of the crossroads, like, I can take this full time, this is my
Yeah.
time.
So in June of 2019, I was working for my dad's company. He makes like motor control cabinets for like oil rigs, sorry.
Yeah.
And I was working for him, and up in Canada, the economy was horrible. And he kind of hit a crossroads where it was like he needed to start kind of making the tough decisions and laying people off.
Yeah.
But I was kind of like, I guess you'd say like a manager. I kind of knew the business in and out, and he wanted to keep me on. And I didn't want to see, like, it was a small company. There was a few other employees, but I
Yeah.
didn't want to see all of them go because they don't have a backing. I kind of have this side gig where I'm making, I think at the time I was making close to $1,000 a month just
Yeah.
in side money from it. And I was like, just see what we can do. Keep one of them on, and let me just try to do this. And the plan was to leave in June
Yeah.
and then come back. Our busy time was always kind of October through like January, February. So like, let me try it for 4 months and see what happens. Well, as soon as I went full time and started like really throwing gasoline on it,
Yeah.
it just took off.
Oh,
And
wow.
then we hit October, and it was like the work wasn't really coming back yet, but like he could bring me back if I wanted to. I was like, I'm gonna just try to stick this one out. And
Yeah.
then COVID hit, and everybody kind of was just stuck at home. And I think that's where my channel really just started to. It was already going, and then
Yeah.
that was just like
Wow.
exploded. So yeah.
And then when you made that decision to jump full time, what kind of strategy did you have? Did you have like, I'm going to do a video a week, or, you had a direction you were taking things into?
Man, I was streaming 5 days a week, uploading every other day.
Yeah.
I just like, I wake up, I'm in front of my PC, and then I go to sleep. Like that
Yeah.
was my life. It was kind of like, it was tough. It was really weird adjusting from like going from a 9 to 5 and actually leaving the house and socializing and seeing other
Mhm.
people to like, I'm now just locked in my basement
Yeah.
making content daily.
Yeah.
It was a tough year. I'll say that. but yeah, we made it through.
Yeah, because it's so much more than just playing games. Whether you're
Oh
just
man.
making YouTube content or streaming or doing both. Like if you're streaming, you're sitting in front of a computer, not having you're having interaction, but it's really you talking and reading chat. No human
Hmm.
to human interaction, or
Exactly.
like you were saying, you're not really socializing. That's got to have a toll on you.
Yeah, it's a weird like parasocial thing where like everybody in chat, they're people, and I know that, but
Yeah,
like because I don't physically see their faces, talk to them, it's different. It's socializing, but with a little twist.
yeah,
Um, I don't think people realize. I look at this job almost like a comedian,
hmm,
right? Your job is to make sure that people like you.
yeah,
You're making content. You want people to like you because that's how you grow. That's how you get subs. That's how you pay bills, right? But at the same time, when you get caught up in this internet stuff, it's like you can't really care what people think at the same time. Like some people are gonna hate you, some people are
yeah,
gonna love you. You can't get involved with that, but your whole identity and I guess like well-being is reliant on other people's opinions of you.
yeah,
And like I think that's one thing that nobody really talks about. Like, yeah, we can throw on cameras and play games all day, but that connection is what people
yeah.
really look for, right?
Yeah. And I've had a bunch of creators on, and, like the things that they talk about. Yeah, you see the negative comments. You don't have to, it doesn't, bother you, but it does bother you. I've had some on
Oh
like,
yeah.
it could be 100 positive comments, but that one negative one can just like
Yeah.
be such a drain on you.
Well, and for me, like I don't mind negativity when it's just like you can clearly tell they're just being negative just to be negative.
Yeah.
What I hate is when I'm talking to somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about, but is dead set in this is my stance.
Yeah.
So when they comment stuff about like me personally, it's not that I take offense to like what you're saying. It's like I know you're wrong, and that bothers me that you're just wrong. So
Yeah.
I'm always just like, no, this is what, but that doesn't help, right?
Right.
But man, yeah, I spent years just replying to everybody just because I couldn't stand them saying the wrong thing about me or what I
Yeah.
said or whatever. Man, it's unhealthy as hell.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now over the years, what have been some of the, the high points, some things you look back as like, wow, I can't believe this happened or I did that.
Yeah, I think it's funny. Uh if you know who Jesse Cox is, he's another creator who kind of came up at the same time as Total Biscuit. They were on a podcast together,
Yeah.
the Co-optional podcast. And I remember meeting him at a TwitchCon, I think in 2016 or 2017. And I remember going up, shaking his hand, and I told him, I was like, hey, man, you and TB were the reason why I started my channel. And I remember he looked, he's like, oh, God, please don't put that on me. Like, it was a very, like, dismissive thing. He's just like, don't do
Oh,
this.
wow.
And that kind of threw me off. I was just like, interesting. Okay. Well, I mean, I still appreciate it, but like, I don't know why it just kind of made me drive a little bit more. It's just like, no, I'm gonna make sure that I don't know if it was like an internal I'm gonna prove you wrong type
Yeah.
thing, but that was I'll never forget that interaction with him. And then yeah, just the times where I see videos do well or go like semi-viral, and it's like it's just that validation.
Yeah.
It's like I'm doing something right here.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, developers freaking out and just making messes of situations. The Earth 2
Oh,
situation,
yeah.
like just stuff like that is I'll never forget this.
Yeah.
This is such a weird life, but I love it.
And now looking back over the years of doing this, what would you is there something that you've done differently, zigged instead of zagged, would you've gotten a editor earlier or just, anything like that?
No, I am super happy with where I'm at now,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of it comes down to the stars just aligning when I jumped in full time. It just I was telling chat the other day, it always feels like I'm falling forward.
Yeah.
I'm putting all this work in and it's working. And yeah, I could have clickbaited a little more. I could have, looking back, I definitely know how to play the algorithm more, but
Yeah.
man, it's been 10 years on the platform this year, and I could have made it full time in 4 years instead of how,
Yeah.
I'm here.
And
I'm
you're
happy,
happy. Yep.
and we're killing it. So like
Nice.
never going to change anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
had a Bluedrake on a while ago, and we were talking about the algorithm, and he said, that algorithm, it can just out of nowhere just kick you right in the nuts and
Yep.
could take down your channel. And I had the
Oh yeah.
same thing with Clintus when he was on talking about that, and that's kind of nerve wracking.
It is. Yeah. The whole goal with YouTube, if you're a creator listening to this, it's funny. YouTube needs to be the driving force to get you off the platform. You need to diversify your business to not rely on the YouTube algorithm turning it off one day. Because it's happened to me a few times where like there's been months on end, some years, even earlier this year, where it's like you put out the content, people are wanting you to put out, and it just does nothing. And you can tell that YouTube isn't sending it out through notifications. You just know that the tap's been turned off.
Yeah.
And it's for me, it's always it's like an ebb and flow. It goes down and then it comes back. It always it's just waves, right? But I'm at this point tired of the roller coaster. So I'm looking at ways like game development
Mhm.
to just get the hell off of YouTube. I still want to make content,
Yep.
but I don't want to have to worry about YouTube turning on me the way
Right.
that they've done it to so many other people.
Yep. Makes
You know?
sense. And now again, because you've done it for so long, what's, sort of, the early days, thumbnails probably weren't even in the back of your head, but nowadays it seems like your title and thumbnails, you got to have them spot on.
That's everything. I every time a creator reaches out to me for help, it's okay. How are you packaging your videos? Because that'll
Yep.
tell me everything that you need to know.
Yeah.
It's so weird. Your videos don't have to be the best videos ever. They don't. You don't have to worry about the editing. I would say worry about audio more than anything. But if you're not hooking people with a thumbnail and a good title and an intriguing title, you're losing,
Yeah.
right? It's the click through rate, and then once you can get them there, then what are you doing wrong?
Yeah.
It's the hook. It's the intro, the first 2 or 3 minutes. Get them in and get them intrigued and wanting to watch the rest, and you're good to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's the kind of stuff, like, if I were to look back and change things,
Yeah.
I would have been doing that from the very beginning, but it's just stuff you learn along the way, right?
Exactly. There's no school
Yeah.
for it. Well,
Yeah,
there really-
exactly.
yeah.
There's a lot of courses out there, but until you actually do it yourself and find out what your audience is wanting to watch from you,
Yeah.
everybody's path is different, right?
Yeah. And now, for when it comes to videos, what is your sort of workflow from like concept to like and subscribe?
Man, that's yeah. It kind of changes daily. Like usually what I do is I wake up. Okay, what am I doing today? What game do I want to talk about? Then it's like, okay, like, well, for instance, I have a video that I want to start working on tomorrow for a game called Pioneer. I haven't talked about it in a while. Well,
Yeah.
what's been going on? I'll
Right.
go browse the Reddit, their channel. Is there new trailers? Is there new information? And I'll go grab all that stuff. Then it's like, okay, how do I start this video? What's the first 30 seconds like?
Yeah.
And once I start that and can get the first 30 seconds, the rest just falls into place for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then-
I'm always focused on the intros.
Yeah.
And then everything else is just structured based on what I've said.
Yeah.
And then it's just easy for me.
And then backing up on that, how do you find your games? What is your, like, are people like, hey, I got a game for you to look at, or is it just, you're going through Steam, or just...
It used to be like, I used to keep tabs on everything. Like I would have notifications for certain games that like I see on Twitter. I'd browse like game dev subreddits. Like I was everywhere until I got to a point where like my community was big enough that they would just be hitting me up with this information. Hey, this game dropped a new update. I'd get like 4 DMs about it. So I've stopped really having to look around because I know that if a new game is coming out, people are messaging me being like, hey, have you seen this?
Yeah.
And then it's like, I'll watch a trailer and it's like, oh, that looks cool. Let's talk about it. Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'm blessed. I just have a community of like down to the like ear to the ground type people. They're just scouring the web for everything. So
nice. And now, do you do much on the short form or vertical content space?
I can't stand it, dude. I hate I hate short form content because it's always like just the lowest hanging fruits. To me, it doesn't really inspire a lot of like creativity.
Yeah.
Now, granted, there is a lot of really creative people who can do short form, and there's a reason why they blow up. But I'm not a fan of it myself, especially through the YouTube side of things. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like YouTube has such a good niche with long form. I don't want to see them trend chase and go after the
Yeah.
TikTok, right?
Yep.
But um yeah. What
Yeah.
about you though? Like what do you I know you drop shorts on the channel, clips of the podcast and
Yeah.
stuff. How do you see like the reaction and do you see any like growth off of
No,
that?
I don't see any growth off it. And I'm thinking just because my content is just interview stuff, it's nothing grabby. In my head, I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be great. Here's a clip on,
Mhm.
how to succeed, but they don't take
Right.
off. And I've also, seen a bunch of posts about people who have long form content. They dabble into shorts, but it actually hurts their channel, which
Yep.
is an interesting concept too.
What I see is a lot of people will gain a lot of subscribers really fast, but those subscribers are subbing to you for short form content.
Yeah.
They're the TikTok scroll. They don't care about your long form.
Right.
But the thing is YouTube, they they don't run a lot of ads on the short form stuff, so you're not getting like realistically in the business side of things, you're not getting paid for any of the short form content unless you're hitting like millions upon
Right.
millions of views, and even then it's not worth it, right?
Yeah.
um so in terms of like building a business and building a brand off of short form, it's just not viable on YouTube. You have to supplement it with sponsorships and merch and everything that
Right.
you can plug into that 60-second little clip, and to me that's just not fun.
Yeah. Nope, not at all.
No.
And now, over the years, what on you from a YouTube standpoint, what advice would you have to somebody who's thinking about, I'm going to make some content now? How should they look at approaching YouTube?
Just do it.
Yeah.
There's no approach. You'll find yourself along the way, right? Nobody starts out the gate and has a banger video that'll go a million views. Now,
Yeah.
what I will say is I think the YouTube algorithm does and has been for the last couple of years really pushing newer channels that have intriguing thumbnails and a nice click through rate. So just do it. Like don't worry about perfection. Just go in and try to find yourself and then hone in from there.
Yeah.
And it's just about refining and finding the content style that you want to do. And there's no amount of planning and brain, workshopping and like just go in and make a video
Yeah.
and see what happens. And then watch it back. And if you like it, which you probably will, I loved my videos back in 2013. I'll never watch them again because they're so cringy. But like that's just what it's about. You always
Yep.
just grow as a creator, right?
Yeah. And now, have you just made a video you thought is going to explode and it doesn't, but some video that you sort of half-ass it, you put out and it explode?
Dude, that is the most demoralizing thing. There's videos where I'll spend like weeks on end editing, put it out, and it's all just gray arrows down.
Yeah.
And then I'll record a video of me reacting to some news article. Takes me 30 minutes to make the video, throw it out, and it goes fucking like half viral. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, sure. Like I'll take it. Like I'm not going to complain, right?
Right.
'Cause at least people are clicking on this one. But
Yeah.
as long as you're proud of the content you're making,
Yeah.
who cares?
Yep.
You know?
Very true. And now, do you target a number of videos to release a week, or just sort of whatever you can get out? And
Yeah, I don't focus on that at all. I know
Yeah.
there's a lot of people who do like, I want to make a video a week. If I make a video, put it out, great. There's
Yep.
been some times where I'll go 8, 9 days without uploading. And then there's times where I'm just feeling really good. There's a lot of stuff I want to talk about, and I'll drop a video every day for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's just, there's no rhyme or reason with the channel at all.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, stepping over to the streaming side of things, you talked about you did some streaming on Twitch a while ago. Do you,
Yeah.
as a YouTuber, were you using Twitch to sort of like hang with your community, hang with buds as sort of a relaxing piece versus your YouTube was your main focus?
Yeah, I think with Twitch, it just has a better culture for live streaming. I actually I got my Twitch partnership, and then last year I left to go stream on YouTube. And what I found is the YouTube side is just so much more toxic.
Oh,
So many, oh, dude. And maybe it's just the audience that I've attracted
Yeah.
because I guess I am a little edgy. I'm a little outspoken, but what I find is like every time I'd be playing something, there'd just be like a bunch of people jumping in, just shit talking the game, shit like
Oh, wow.
I don't know. I'm not a Tarkov fan,
Yeah.
right? And I've been very outspoken about it, but I always say like I don't sit here in other streamers' chats being like, God, I hate this game. God, but like the YouTube side is just like they're so adamant. They'll see a stream of a game they might not like, and
Yeah.
they're going in, and I'm gonna let this guy know
Oh,
that
wow.
I hate it. So what I find is like the YouTube streaming was super like, I guess like it affected my mental health. I
Yeah.
didn't talk about it, but it was just like, man, it's just a toxic cesspool over
Oh,
there. And the
wow.
problem with YouTube is they haven't invested in any sort of moderation tools.
Yeah.
It's terrible when you compare it to Twitch. So Twitch is just, I don't know, man. Twitch is just a nicer environment for the live
Yeah.
stream and stuff. More chill. I can kind of just do whatever I want, have fun. And then I use my YouTube as like the more like,
Yeah.
cut and dry, edited, professional
Yeah.
discussions. So,
Well,
yeah.
it seems like Twitch, it's your community. It's sort of like, it's just
Yeah.
like the locals bar that you're there. Everyone's just hanging
That's
out with.
exactly it. Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. And then like with my YouTube crowd, like I have 320,000 subs. I don't know who's like, it's weird. Like I have this huge community, but I don't really know who's in the community. If someone's
Yeah.
leaving a comment, I don't know if they're the first time here or if they've been subbed for, yeah, who
Right.
knows,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So it's actually tough to distinguish like who is a fan and who is just happened to click on it from the algorithm from the
Yeah.
search engine. Like you just don't know anymore. So it's weird. I started the channel because I wanted to build a community,
Yeah.
but it's gotten to a point where like I don't really recognize that community anymore.
Yeah.
So that's why like I love Discord, I love Twitch, Twitter, that you can tell who's responding and you can but like with YouTube comments, it's just
Yeah.
a flood all the time and I just don't know who's who anymore.
And it's interesting because it just seems like YouTube doesn't want to take the live aspect seriously.
They don't. They brought over Tim the Tatman
Yeah.
and Ludwig, and at that time I was just like, oh, okay, well, Twitch needs some competition. This
Right.
could be good. So I jumped over. I was like, this is great. It looks
Yeah.
like they're, and then they lost is it Ryan Wyatt? Fwiz? He was their head of YouTube gaming. He
Yeah.
left like shortly after.
Oh,
And
shoot.
ever since then, they haven't done anything. They haven't invested in live at all.
Yeah.
So it was a year of me just hoping and waiting they'd do something, and then they just didn't. They
That's too
completely dropped the ball.
Yep.
And then they started focusing on short form, which I'm not a fan of.
Yeah.
And they were putting all of their eggs, like they have the shorts feed and like they're driving subs. I was like, okay, so you guys clearly don't care about live content.
Right.
Fuck it. I'm going
Yeah.
back to Twitch. Yeah.
And now, when you said earlier you got your Twitch partner, do you remember that, when you got that notification, how many times you applied?
Dude. Yeah. So I started. Okay. Do you remember when Tarkov launched into alpha?
No, that was before I found it.
Got you. Okay. So Tarkov had the closed alpha. It was everyone had to sign NDAs, and when
Yeah.
you played the game, you had watermarks kind of floating all over your screen. But what they did was a few select content creators could stream the game for the first time.
Oh, okay.
I was one of those people.
Oh, no way.
But at the time, the game was just terrible. It was like you couldn't even log into the game.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting here streaming for like 600, 700, 800 people, getting rated by
Wow.
huge streamers, and we were like blowing up. But it was just me sitting in a lobby for like weeks on
Oh,
end.
shoot.
I couldn't even log in, and so they hated the fact that I was sitting here being like, I just spent $150 on this, and I can't even fucking. I was negative about it.
Yeah.
For sure. It left a sour taste in my mouth. But so what they did was they put the watermark back on my channel without even communicating.
Oh,
And basically, like when I reached out to them, I'm like, hey, does this mean like I can't stream anymore? And they were basically like, yeah, like fuck
shoot.
yourself.
Wow.
It's like, oh, okay. But so what I did is I applied for Twitch partner because we were killing it.
Yeah.
And I got my partnership off of Tarkov.
Oh, no way.
And then it went, 1,200 people, woo, right back down. But it's like, fuck it. I got my partnership
Yeah.
off of it. Great. Like,
Oh,
cool.
man.
So yeah, that was my first real run-in with BSG, and
Yeah.
ever since then, man, like I've just seen how they treat other creators
Yeah.
with the DMCA's and stuff, and it's like,
Yeah.
I said it. I tried to warn y'all years ago, but yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, that
Oh,
was my first time getting partnership. It was kind of
Wow.
like a bittersweet, but like I did it.
You
I
got
got
it. Yeah, you got the
Yeah.
check mark. And
Yeah,
now-
I ain't complaining.
and you said you went to like Twitch cons in like 2016. Did you go to the one after COVID as well?
No, I was going to actually, I was actually really excited for that one. And then when we booked the tickets, booked the hotel, and then they came out and said that you had to be like masked up and social
Oh,
distance
I
and
re-
stuff. And I'm
yes.
just, Dude, I don't
Yeah.
know. Like, I don't know if you know anything about like Canadian politics, bro, but like,
Uh-huh.
I was ready to go down to the States and just being like, man, fuck this shit. Like, we're balling out. But they
Yeah.
put that on there. I was like, well, I'm not gonna go. So I just got the refund for the ticket,
Yeah.
canceled everything, and just said screw it.
Gotcha.
So yeah, not
Oh.
not going into the politics
Nope.
of it, but yeah, that really soured it. And then we were gonna go this year, because we figured by this time the restrictions aren't gonna be up
Right.
anymore.
Yep.
But then, dude, the hotels in Vegas right now are just
Yep.
insane costs. So it's just not worth it.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll ever go to another TwitchCon though.
Yeah.
I think after the last couple years and then with COVID, it's just like I'd rather just like fly somewhere where I know a bunch of my fans are and just like
Yeah.
have a meetup, maybe go to like a range or something and just have a
Nice.
day or two, you know.
Now, do you go to any of the other like PAXs or DreamHack or anything like that?
I wanted to go to PAX East in 2018, and where I'm at, I have to drive 2 hours to get to the airport.
Yeah.
And it was during it was the worst snowstorm that
Oh,
I've ever seen
no.
in my life. I got stranded out on the highway on the way to the airport,
Oh,
and there were like semis like driving on the opposite side of the road, like
Yeah.
through blizzards. So I actually didn't get a chance to go to PAX East, and then I just never attempted to go again. But they're usually out in Boston. I do
Yep.
want to get out there, but I just haven't.
Sort of looking at as the whole of a streaming and creating YouTube as a career, something that a lot of people don't realize is how much work goes into the extras around that, and you get no sick time, no vacation time. You've got to sort of build that into it.
Yeah, man. Like no insurance, no
Yeah.
sick. Like you take days off. Well, I mean, I've seen it. Like I've taken a week off of YouTube to go visit somebody or whatever, and you come back and it's like they just turn their back on you until you can crawl your way back up.
Yeah.
You take time off here, it actually hurts you.
Yeah.
Which yeah, that's not a conversation a lot of creators like to go into, but like we're kind of locked in that you're churning out, you're a machine.
Yeah.
You better be on your P's and Q's, and you better always be uploading,
Yeah.
or else you're screwed.
And the plus side of being a YouTuber is at least if you put in the extra effort, have a few videos lined up, you can schedule them and sort of YouTube will just churn on your own, as opposed to
For sure.
if Twitch or streaming is your big focus, you can't really do that.
Yeah, I always tell people who are trying to grow their Twitch first, I always say, don't.
Yeah.
Your YouTube is what's going to pay you in the long run.
Yeah.
And you have to think about the big picture, because, oh yeah, on Twitch, if you're just a streamer, if you're not live, you're not growing.
Right.
Right. So with Twitch, it's not even just YouTube. You got to be grabbing clips, and you got to be editing for the short form, for the TikTok, Instagram. Like it's not a one platform pony anymore. You got to be everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, you know that.
Yeah.
Like if you're trying to grow, you
got
vertical, horizontal. It's a
anywhere
grind,
to try
man.
to catch people to draw their attention. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yep.
All right. So now to the fun piece of it. Transience.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
What what made you decide, hey, I'm going to create my own game?
My comment section for years is just like every time I'd critique something, no matter what it was, if the game could be just an absolute piece of garbage, well, let's see you make one. Well, let's see if you do it. And after a while, it kind of got sickening, and all the stars just kind of aligned with the people I have around me, and we were going to make a joke little meme game making fun of crypto bros and Earth 2. That's what it started as. And then we started talking about like the budget and how we were going to fund it. And it's just like, well, if we're going to put some real money towards it, like, let's do something that people would actually care about. Right.
Yeah.
And it started from there, man. We were hosting game jams, and the winner of my first game jam is the main gameplay programmer on the team. Because like I got to see how he works in a 7-day stretch, and the dude is a genius. And then during the second game jam, they approached me and they're like, well, if you want to make an FPS, like we can do it. And I was like, I'm an FPS content creator. Like it better be done right, because if this game fails, like that's my ass, right?
Yeah.
And like everything I've built, I wouldn't say ruined, but it's definitely a chip in that armor, right?
Yeah.
So I said, like, you guys better come correct. And they were like, give us 30 days. They built a prototype and I played it. I was like, well, this is better than half the stuff I cover.
Oh, no
like,
way.
Let's just throw some money here and get the right people in place. And man, like I said, we wouldn't be able to do what we're doing if I didn't have everybody around us that we do,
Yeah.
and they wouldn't be able to get the game to that many eyes if they didn't have me.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just like it's kind of just I don't know. The stars just aligned and everything just is just kind of coming up great right now. It's
Nice.
cool.
And now how would you describe the game? What's the concept of it?
Yeah, so it's a single player stealth action tactical FPS. And we always say it's inspired by Rainbow Six, Splinter Cell, and Max Payne.
Okay.
Take Sam Fisher, drop him into a near future John Wick style universe,
Yeah.
and see what happens.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
And I saw you drop the demo there a few weeks ago. Got got good feedback on that.
oh yeah, it's been very well received. It's clear. I think everybody knows like it's still early in development, right? But the bones and the foundation that we're building, like it's clear that we have something.
Yeah.
And it's definitely driven up our wish lists, which is very exciting. I think the demo downloads is pushing 30,000 right now.
That's crazy.
So like, yeah, man, a lot of people are like kind of giving it a lot of praise, and it's just like, here's things you have to fix, but like this is really good.
Yeah.
So,
Nice.
yeah, very cool.
Now, any milestones upcoming that you're trying to target, or?
I just told the team like after this demo goes out, because we've been focusing on polishing it up for the last like I would say month and a half.
Yeah.
And I just said like after the demo goes out, let's just shift focus back to the game itself and finishing up what we need to finish up there. And I said by the end of the year, I really want to sit down with everybody and just take a hard look at the project and be like, okay, where's our focus areas? What do we need to fix? What do we need to polish up? And then what's 2024 look like?
Yeah.
And yeah, no real milestones. It's more just like let's just see where it goes.
Yeah. And now, being on that development side of the sort of the fence, what's been sort of the tougher things about creating your own game?
In terms of the tech side, I would say AI has been a very tough challenge for us because
Yeah.
we're making a single player title. Stealth games, your AI is everything, right?
Yep.
I would say in terms of just the overall business, just being able to fund it, right, it's a scary thing. I'm basically taking I pay my bills, put a little bit into savings,
Yeah.
and the rest is going to this. So the funding has definitely been a challenge for sure. And then I would just say like the pressure,
Yeah.
right? Like
Because you're
YouTuber
Bigfry.
making
Everybody knows you're.
dude, yeah, and like I've definitely, I will say, I burned a lot of bridges in the past talking the way that I do, and there's a lot of people waiting in the wings to rip this apart.
Yeah.
And like I get it, and I told the guys day one, it's like if you're getting involved in this project, just know everything you do is going to be scrutinized and looked over with a fine-tooth comb.
Yeah.
But it's funny when we put the demo out, I think that has been a nice little valve release on the pressure.
Yeah.
It's like you guys can see clearly we're building something that is being built out of passion, and we're not going to be excuse me, we're not going to be charging you a lot of money for it. And like here it is. Like
Right.
we kind of know what we're doing, you
Yeah.
know? And I think that's really opened a lot of people's eyes, and yeah, it's gotten a lot of people who were skeptical. We've seen a lot of comments where it's like, I thought this was going to be terrible, but I have to kind of give you props on it.
Nice.
And like that, man, that feels just so damn good.
Excellent.
And it's not as like, haha, gotcha. It's more just
Right.
like I'm glad. I'm fucking glad that like maybe you'll pick it up at launch and enjoy it. That's all that matters to me.
Yeah.
If the game goes out, I don't even care if we lose money on it. Just if you enjoy it, play it, have fun.
Yep.
Great.
Nice. Yeah, when Drake was on, I was asking him about, sort of the same thing, like what's been some of the things that have been tough. And he was talking, I had no concept, no idea this was even a thing, like finding people that you could trust and making sure the legal document is in place, because if they write a certain code and they could later on say it's theirs, and that could really screw things up.
Big time, man. And like, it's funny, like in the early days of Operation Harsh Doorstop with Drake, I was in those conversations, or at least like I was helping him play test and kind of go over the the gameplay portion of it
Yeah.
in the very early days.
Oh,
And he
wow.
would, he would tell me about these horror stories of like
Yeah.
guys he knows and things so I just kind of soaked all that knowledge up, and it's just like
Nice.
as soon as we started this, it was technically we started May 1st, and that was when we drew up all the contracts.
Yeah.
We got my business like we set it to a limited company so that there's protections in place. We took everything that I learned from him and applied it here, and we just kind of started off on the right foot.
Nice.
And so far it's been nothing, knock on wood, nothing's happened yet. So
Excellent. So now going back, something you talked about, like a lot of people rooting against you, and
Oh, yeah.
like you were very negative. I have seen, from your videos from years ago to today, it's sort of like a more mature Bigfry. You're not
oh yeah.
as angry it comes across. You're just like you're just real, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, man, in the early days of my channel, like, yeah, I was just in a weird spot, like in life. I was a lot more pissed off about how the gaming industry was going,
Yeah.
and I was a lot more outspoken about it. But I realized, through COVID and just like looking back, bitching and yelling and moaning and being super angry and angsty got us nowhere as an industry.
Yeah.
Right? Like we're still in the same spot. We're still complaining about the same things. Monetization has grown even worse than it was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Like if I showed early me where the industry is at now, he would be so much more pissed, right?
Yeah.
So now like my goal is like, what am I having fun with?
Yeah.
Right? Instead of focusing on trying to fix monetization by complaining about it in the 15th video that does nothing,
Yeah.
where can I have fun?
Yeah.
Right. And I know like there's a lot of comments, a lot of people are commenting like they don't even look forward to games anymore because of the monetization and all of these. But it's like if I ever got to that point, what's the point of making content?
Yeah.
Right. If I'm not having fun and if I can't find any enjoyment out of this, then I might as well just close the channel and just
Right.
go back to work. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Like, I think there's a lot of. I'll say this. When I first started, I came at it as a consumer.
Yeah.
What this is the slop that we're getting year after year. But in going through game dev, I've also seen the other side of the coin, and I've seen the amount of entitlement from the consumer
Uh-huh.
when it comes to how they interact with developers,
Yeah.
how they like the toxic side of the gaming community
Yep.
has really shown its horns in the last
Mhm.
like I would say 3 years.
Yeah.
And what I've come to realize is a lot of this negativity has nothing to do with games, and it's more to do with just people's situations in life.
Yeah. Yeah.
The world, things are getting more expensive. People are calling greed on games like Call of Duty when it's just like, if you look around, like, I don't know, man. I think just growing older, having a mortgage,
Yep.
having bills, like I just put $150 in my truck to fill it up and it didn't even fill it. How am I going to then turn around and look at a game that's $70 that I can get 150, 200 hours of and be mad about it?
Exactly.
You know?
Yes. Yep. Because that was one of the things I was going to ask you about, like your perception of value out of a video game. Because I look at something like
Yeah.
Tarkov. It's I've got thousands of hours in it. Paid the
Right.
$150. I've got more value out of that game than so much. And for me, I base value on. I go to watch a movie. It's 2 hours. It's $20. $10 an
Right.
hour. If I get 6 hours or 7 hours out of a game, I broke even.
100%, man. Like I got an early, or no, I'm sorry. I played Uncharted 4, and this is when I think my opinion really started to change. Is I paid $80 for it,
Yeah.
and I think I beat it in about 17 hours.
Yeah.
And it was one of the best games that I played that year. And I've never been the guy who's like $1 per hour. If I'm paying $80, I need at least 80 hours. Well, that just creates padded games that we complain about all the time with Assassin's Creed and all the Ubisoft titles
Right,
where it's
yep.
just a mile wide, inch thick, right? So that's not the solve. So I've never been that dollar per hour guy, but a lot of my community is, and I
Yeah.
know that just based on the interactions. I read every single comment, right?
Yeah.
But it's just like, look around at the world. We're spending like $6 on a loaf of bread. And I'm seeing you guys complain about software that might take people 3 or 4 years to make. And
Yeah.
like we're complaining about it. Like, and so I think my perspective has very much shifted away from bad corporation to this industry is just kind of a toxic cesspool all around.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to find my way through that because I built my audience and built my channel off of that brand of like, yeah, pro consumer. But guys, I mean, I think we also have to take kind of a look at ourselves too. And that's been the toughest challenge for me as a creator is kind of coming to terms with the fact that like I can't really validate every one of your guys' opinions anymore because I'm looking at life, not only just gaming, but just looking at life through a new lens.
Yeah.
That's been interesting.
Yeah, because and granted, you're mature, like you said, you got mortgage, you got other things that you're paying for versus when you're in your like early 20s, late teens. It's like you don't have the big world problems at that point. You know, your big world problem is, damn, this game's been beta for 4 years. When am I going to get it out?
Right. No, exactly. And like my thing is like I see a lot of contradictions even in that example, right? This game's been in beta for 6 years, but then if they didn't do it in beta and they put it out, well, this game was a rush piece. Like, it's I don't know. There's so many hypocritical statements in the gaming space.
Yeah.
That like as a content creator, you want to put your best foot forward and you just have to be real to yourself. But I also know there's a lot of people that watch me who don't really care about my opinion unless it validates what they think.
Yeah.
So if they go into a video and they're like, I hope Bigfry rips this game apart because I hate it.
Yeah.
And then if I'm sitting there like, actually, it's not that bad. And then they just spurg out. It's like, I don't know, man. Like, I'm just kind of tired of that portion of it too. It's like, man, just like, can we just play games and have fun, guys? Like, what do y'all do all day?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And actually, that's a perfect thing in my next question. When you're looking at a game, what boxes does the game need to check for you to be this is my kind of game?
I don't think I have a checkbox list for like that just encompasses all games. I think I look at a lot of things differently. Yeah, that's a tough one to answer because like if it's an MMO, I need to have a lot of like PvE content, raids, dungeons. I'm not a PvP player when it comes to that, but when it comes to FPS, is it a single player title? If it's single player, what kind of game is it? Like that's a tough question to answer because I think it changes on a per game basis. But for me, it's like, am I having fun? Can I stay to this game long term, or is this a fly by night? I'm gonna play it for a week and then shelve it. Can I make content off of it?
Yeah. Yes.
Can you find me a game that checks all three of those boxes? I tell you, I have yet to be able to.
Yeah.
You know, so I guess that's just the everlong search for it.
Now, when you step away from creating content and streaming, you know, what's Bigfry's life like outside of that? You know, any hobbies? What do you like to do?
Nope, my life is content.
No
honestly,
guilty
man.
pleasure playing Sims 4 off stream?
Oh, sure. I mean, yeah, like, well, I mean, this Friday, my girlfriend and I are going to pick up Super Mario Wonder.
Oh,
We're going to play some couch co-op and just have some fun.
Nice.
That's one of those games where it's like, clearly I'm not going to make content on it, but that's just something that we do. There's a lot of times where we actually sit and play Fall Guys.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is like, as we're playing and talking, content is on my mind, not in terms of the game, but it's like, what's my next video going to be?
Yeah.
Oh, I have to respond to that email. Oh, I have to get this sent off. Oh, game develop. Like it's never switched off.
Yeah.
Even when I'm, you know, just recently we went to a cabin for a weekend for fishing, and I was really looking forward to just getting away.
Yeah.
And going out on a boat, seeing the lake. And at the time, my manager was texting me, oh, hey, I got this opportunity. Oh, hey, I got this. It's a nonstop gig. I'm 24/7.
But
I mean, hell, you know this. When was the first time you asked me to come on this podcast?
a while ago.
Like,
Yeah.
that's what I mean, dude. And like now, as soon as we released demo, I knew that I was gonna start to have some downtime.
Yep.
And even then, it's just like demo came out. I'm feeling good. Oh wait, opportunity. Hey, you
Yeah.
have to make this. And so it's just I'm just trying to.
But
I
at the
take
same
it. I
time,
take it day by day.
you have a passion for it. So you're enjoying this. So
Yeah.
that's why it's
Oh, yeah.
always going. It's not you.
For sure, man.
It doesn't appear to be a job for you yet at this point.
No, like there's days where it's just like fuck. Like today, I got groceries. I was gonna work on a video about Tarkov Arena,
Yeah.
and I woke up. I'm like, I don't want to do that today. I'm gonna go get some groceries and then go see my parents.
Yeah.
And that's what I did.
Nice.
And then I came home, streamed for a bit, and now we're here.
Yeah.
So yeah, like there's days where I'm just like, oh, I'm good, but I know tomorrow I'll just wake up and kill it, right?
Yep.
So
Exactly.
it's 3 years ago, it was just content, never leave house, go.
Yeah.
Now I know that I can take an hour or two and go do something.
Yep.
But yeah, man, not a job for me, dude. I heard something once where they said like real entrepreneurs, and I hate using that term, but the guys who are out there, they would be willing to work 24 hours a day for themselves than work a 9 to 5 for someone
Yeah.
else. And I was working for my dad,
Yeah.
you know? And so like, and that was such a great gig. But even then, like I would come home on a lunch hour, record, edit, upload a video, and it would be done before I would go back to work in the afternoon.
Yeah.
It was just grind all the time.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, it'll never change for me.
Well,
Never.
I can tell you enjoy and you figured things out because of the fact, like you just said, you stepped away today. You went, can see the folks, do your
Yeah.
grocery shopping. You're not stuck here 24 hours a day. You figured things out.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know how but I'm just here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then 3 years from now, I'll tell you the same thing. I'm just here. I
Yeah.
just we're doing it day by day. Yeah.
Yeah, and you'll still be getting the criticism. Oh, you're shilling the game, or oh, you hate this developer so much, and that's still going to be there.
It's all noise,
Yep.
you know, and like some days, yeah, it gets to me, but not how it used to.
Yeah.
Because I like I said, man, I just know that like a lot of these people are taking out their aggression, and a lot of it doesn't have to do with video games,
Yep.
but more of just like where you're at in life, how you're feeling that day. Like it's all just noise, and it
Yeah.
does not matter. But it's weird because I built my channel to talk to people about games.
Yeah.
And I'm finding nowadays I'm actually disconnecting from that a lot more because everyone has a different opinion,
Yeah.
and it just always turns into some sort of fighting
Yeah.
and negativity in the comments. And it's just like, just over it, man.
Yeah.
I just want to play. I just want to have fun.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely. And speaking of fun, how would you describe the Bigfry community? Like when you're in your Discord or on your on your stream, what would you describe the Bigfry community as?
It's interesting. I'll say that. I have a very, I would say, adult audience. When you look at the analytics, it's like 25 to 40, right? But when we host things like game nights, I find that that's when the younger crowd comes through, and like they're way more willing to be social, and
Yeah.
it's a different vibe for sure. Cause like I'm sitting there having a drink at the end of the night, and
Yeah.
it's just a different energy. I actually don't know, man. I mean, I love my community over on Twitch. Like we're just, we like playing games. A lot of these guys are just, they throw me up while they're doing their paperwork at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And it's a lot more relaxed over there. The YouTube side of things, don't even ask me.
Yeah, no.
That's a whole like melting pot of people. But
Absolutely.
yeah, no, it's interesting. Like a lot of adult guys who are just like, again, I think they're just all trying to find a game that they can have fun with.
Yeah.
You know?
Nice. All right. Well, hey, you survived the podcast, and like with everybody who's been on before, I asked them
it's
to.
been an hour.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I try
Wow.
to keep it at an hour. So everybody's been on. When we're done, I ask them to suggest somebody in your circle or your peer group that you think would have a good story to come on and share.
Oh, I have a lot. Honestly, I would love it if you could talk to Mr. AbleGreen.
Oh, okay.
AbleGreen official. He is somebody who, when I first started when I first started my YouTube channel, he was in the same kind of SOCOM community as
Yeah.
me, and he had a podcast. And he was the first person who ever gave me a shot and brought me onto his
Oh, wow.
podcast. And that's when I at the time I had 25 subscribers.
Yeah.
And he brought me on, 25 turned to 50, and then I got my first 100 through his community.
Oh, shoot.
And he's still to this day just he's a ride or die.
Yeah.
And he's still making content and he's still grinding away, and he's just a really good dude.
Awesome. All right, we'll get them on. I
Yeah.
love finding people that I've haven't come across before. So this
Yeah.
is excellent.
It's awesome.
All right,
Well,
man.
Dan, I didn't realize we were an hour in. I was going to ask you some questions.
Go right
too.
ahead. If
I-
you got some questions.
I want to know, like, how did you discover? Like, you said you initially started with Tarkov
Yep.
content, right? What did that look like, and how did you get to here? And like, what made you go in that direction?
So I had a podcast before with a bunch of buddies, guys getting together and just talking Tarkov, talking games.
Yeah.
And then I was like, you know what? I couldn't find anything that was really dedicated just to hear people's stories, just their stories away from their streaming side of things.
Mhm.
So ended up getting like, Veritas, Deadly, Geeks, and it's like, you know what, there's people outside of Tarkov as well. So
Yeah.
whether it's one thing I wanted to get in is bring in the other side of it, like people's modders, editors, orgs, charities, like, Gamers Outreach. What was their story? How did they get involved?
You just did a video on that.
Yeah, with Zach
2
from
videos ago. Yeah.
a little while ago, did a video with Zach. I'm looking to get stackup.org on too to get their take
Awesome.
on things, and it's just there's so much more out there other than just somebody playing a video game on stream in Tarkov.
Right.
And,
Absolutely.
I've had a couple of parent coalition groups that are focused on helping parents understand esports and if their kids get into that and go from there.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So where do you? I always ask this to everybody I talk to. Tarducks at 100,000 subscribers. What does that look like to you?
Oh God. That's a pipe
What kind
dream.
of Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
you're
'Cause
gonna get there though.
I don't know. And I'm not looking for that. I'm just looking to like meet people like yourselves and getting your stories. This is just a passion project for me.
That's awesome.
And if it gets there, fantastic. If I have people on that I haven't gotten any negative comments. Now they're all going to fly in after this, because I just jinxed myself.
Dude. Oh
But
yeah,
the
don't say that.
The feedback I get from guests who've been on and people who watch it, they seem to enjoy it. They enjoy the fact that the past guests say, "Yeah, you were prepared. Questions were good. It wasn't
Yeah.
just." So that's what I sort of focus on.
Awesome, man. That's
Yeah.
super cool. Awesome. Well, those were my questions.
Yeah.
I wanted to know how you made the move from Tarkov to here, and it's interesting that you kind of tapped into that market with the creators that you were kind of around in that community.
Yeah, okay, and
it's an easy branch.
it was an easy branch. And then on top of that, when Tarkov hits its lulls, like especially last summer, you saw a lot of these Tarkov creators.
Yes.
They had to branch out, and getting their stories on escaping Tarkov was, because
That's super cool.
Yeah.
I there's one guy I follow on Twitter, OnePeg.
Yeah.
And I've really watched him transition from Tarkov to he's doing dark and darker coverage.
yeah.
He's doing new stuff on YouTube, and it's interesting. Baddie as well.
Yeah.
Baddie, Klean. I mean, Klean. Like he's jumped from just straight Tarkov to doing things like BattleBit, and like
Yeah.
it's a blessing and a curse when you're tied to a game the way these guys
Exactly.
are,
Yep.
right? And so it's super interesting to watch the success stories of branching, but
Yep.
then also seeing how many people still feel stuck in whatever perspective game they are.
Right.
Tough game, man.
It's got to be a scary thing when you're tied to that one game and everything is hooked to that.
Yep.
I've seen other creators like Ash, Mr. Gibbons. They've all branched out of the Tarkov space and done well for themselves, which is
Yep.
nice to
Yep.
see.
Yeah, and I always say, like, I see some creators, they get bitter towards a lot of things, like your community. Oh, these guys don't support me when I'm playing it, and like that mind state, like it's so much more than just turning on a camera and playing a
It
video
is.
game. There's no,
absolutely.
that's a discussion. I could talk for hours about that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that's cool,
Ah,
man. Well,
all
I
right.
appreciate you inviting me on. This has been
Thank
really
you.
cool.
Yeah, I really
Yeah.
appreciate it, and best of luck to you and your game.
You as well, man. Well, with everything you got going on, that's
Thank
super
you.
dope.